So, in addition to Donald Trump throwing out his extremely racist dog whistle to the Proud Boys last night, the entire thing from start to finish was an absolute, to kind of self censor here a little bit, crap show. And that is putting it about as mildly as possible. Jake Tapper actually described it as a dumpster fire inside of a train wreck. It was awful. And everybody is pretty much in agreement that this is the worst debate they've ever seen in their lifetime. And the polling that came out immediately following it from people who watched it is terrifying, to be honest. According to the CBS YouGov poll that was taken online immediately after the debate took place, 17% said they were informed by watching it. 19% described themselves as pessimistic, 31% entertained, and 69% annoyed. They were just annoyed with the whole thing, and I understand, yes, those numbers add up to over 100%. You get to choose more than one thing if you felt the need to. But, 70% annoyed. And I have to say, obviously, yes, a lot of us, it's our job. We have to watch this crap. And it really was one of the most bizarre and most annoying debates I've ever watched. My wife, who is very middle of the road, does not follow politics at all, actually got up and left because she said she couldn't stand it. Not just the arguing, but she actually can't even stand to hear Trump speak because he doesn't go from point A to B. He goes everywhere else and never actually lands at his destination, and she can't stand that. She's an educator. She likes to be able to, when you start talking, it's because you have a point to make, and if you don't ever make that point, it's obnoxious. She also teaches English. So, yeah, I could see how that would be very annoying for her. But as far as the rest of the evening goes, we had a bunch of insults, personal insults coming from Trump to Biden, from Biden to Trump. Biden was clearly not drugged like Donald Trump said he would be. Honestly, that was a little disappointing because Biden was very subdued, kind of sedated. Look, man. But there were a couple times Biden got pissed. And the few times he got pissed is when he actually looked endearing to the public. Biden went into this debate with the better poll numbers, so he actually had more to lose than Donald Trump did. So, if he didn't deliver a knockout, that's okay, because Trump didn't either. So I think the net result of this is nothing. I don't think this moves the needle. Biden did not give a horrible performance, and therefore I do not think his numbers are going to go down. I do not think they're going to go up, because I don't think anybody, and I'm trying to look at this with the eyes of somebody who's not a political follower, And that's the thing, it gets lost on us sometimes too, and my folks on Twitter. Not everybody, in fact, most of the country are not avid political news consumers. And we are, and we're in this all day, every day. So we look at it one way, but you have to look at it. Suppose you're an average voter out there. You watch the press conferences sometimes during the COVID-19 panic or pandemic, excuse me. And so you tune into the debate. You haven't really seen much of the people from recently. You don't really know which one you like, and that's what you see. Do you think that debate last night changed anybody's minds? Do you think that settled anyone's votes last night? Watching that happen, that dumpster fire inside of the train wreck? Because I don't think it did. And to his credit, and again, I got kind of some crap from this for saying this on Twitter. I don't think Chris Wallace actually did that bad of a job. Yeah, it would have been awesome if he would have called Trump out every time he lied, but that would have been the only conversation we had for the whole night. The MSNBC moderators don't do that either, by the way. Stop acting like Chris Wallace didn't do it because he's secretly Fox. No. They don't do it because they don't have the time to do it with somebody who spews nonstop lies. So overall, I thought Wallace did a decent job. He would, try to shut Trump up, try to shut them both up a couple of times. And then there were times, he just gave up and didn't even bother. The whole thing, devolved into bedlam. But overall, I don't think Wallace did a horrible job. I've certainly seen worse debate moderators in my time. So there it is. Insults. Biden did get the chance to lay out a couple of really good policies. He also, by the way, took every possible opportunity to remind us that he is not a progressive. And he'll be damned if he institutes any progressive policies. Medicare for all? Nope. Green New Deal? Hell nah. He has a good environmental plan. It's not as good as the Green New Deal, but it's still a really good plan. But he's not doing the Green New Deal. He's definitely not giving Medicare for all. He's definitely not going to get rid of the private insurance industry. He definitely does not want to defund the police, and he definitely will not say that Black Lives Matter is a really great organization. That's disappointing. But I also, and I hate to even say this, I do understand why he refuses to do that. And it's because he is afraid. He is afraid to take a stand. He is afraid of alienating even one single suburban white voter. And he thinks that backing any one of those things is going to lose him those voters when actually they like those policies. So he's misguided. He is wrong on it. 100% wrong. And that probably goes back to whoever it is that's advising him is not very good at their job. So there's that. Trump did keep trying to bait Biden into saying, you're far left, you and, Bernie Sanders, you're socialist, blah, blah. And then Biden would be like, I'm totally not those things. I'm not far left. I don't support those policies. And then Trump would snatch and be like, ha ha, you just lost the far left Democratic wing of voters. Not going to get him now. You just lost him. You fell into my trap. And then, did Trump get any good lines out? He got some, I'll say, creative insults. But in terms of laying out any concrete plans, having any kind of real explanation as to why 200,000 plus people have died from COVID-19 on his watch, he didn't have an answer. He tried to blame everybody else. He tried to say, it'll be worse under Biden. It'll be worse under Biden. You would have done a worse job than me. Deflection and blame is all we got from him. Either trying to redirect the question to something else or saying, nope, it was all these people's fault. They didn't know. We didn't know. China did it. So he didn't take responsibility for a single bad thing that happened. The economy was a big talking point. Trump says, we rebuilt the economy. It's going to be great again. Folks, the economy hasn't been great. The economy wasn't even great under Obama and Biden. That recovery we had didn't actually happen to the working class. The recovery was limited to those at the top. We did not see an increase in wealth. We have only seen things become more and more unaffordable since that time. Housing prices still going through the roof. I don't mean that as a pun. That actually just accidentally came out that way. The price of regular goods and services. And Trump brought up car prices are out of control. He's actually right about that. It's not because of pollution. It's because a new car, a new SUV. And I'm not talking about like a Mercedes SUV. I'm talking about like a friggin' GMC. You go today to buy a new GMC. You're not going to, pay $20,000. You pay $60,000 to $70,000 for like a GMC or a Chevrolet. That's insane. That is insane. And it's insane to me because like hundreds of millions of Americans, we were left out of the economic recovery and we couldn't imagine paying that much money for an American-made regular car. That's crazy. So yeah, that's what we're dealing with the economy and the recovery and the crash and all of that. That point that I made about the recovery, never really happening for working class people, that should have been brought up. I wish Biden wouldn't be afraid to criticize the 8 years of Obama. I think that would help him. If he admits, you know what, hey, we weren't perfect. We could have done this. We should have done this. I love Barack. He's a great guy. He's a great friend. But even he looks back and says, you know what, I think we could have done this differently. If Biden would come out and say something like that, I think you're going to win over more of the people on the left. And I think you're going to win over some of the people in the middle too. You have to admit your failures of the past, because there were plenty in that Obama administration. There have been even more under the Trump administration, and he won't admit to any fault. So if Biden steps up and admits that I am a human being and I have faults, that I think is going to endear him to the public in a way that Trump could never fully understand. But overall, if I had to give a closing thought on this debate, it was awful. It was beyond awful. It was like the worst awful. But luckily for both candidates, actually unfortunately for Trump and fortunately for Biden, it probably didn't change a single person's mind out of anyone who watched it.